All right, let's take a look at crypto and the regulatory alignment, what's happening around not only the next few months, because we've got obviously an election happening, but we'll break it all down for you today. We've got a special guest for you as well. My name is Paul Barron. Welcome back into Tech Path. Joining me today is Ron Hammond, who is the Director of Government Affairs over at the Blockchain Association. Great to have you back.
Thanks for having me, Paul. It's always good to be back.
Yeah, we always get a chance to break down, I think, strategies. It seems like timing is always right for us. Of course, Bitcoin going on the move a little bit. We'll see now with Trump and his vice president selection, obviously things that have happened here in the last week. And then you've got the Bitcoin conference happening. ETH, ETF is now approved. Man, just, everything's aligning here, Ron. So we're going to break it all down. First thing I want to hit you with is this right here, and that is the Congressional Calendar. So I'm looking here at the dates, and I'm thinking, Ron, tell me how, with everything that's going on, how we're going to get anything passed this year, because you've got almost a whole month off in August coming up, and then almost all of October. So really just a handful of days in September, November, and December are holiday ridden. So what's your opinion there?
No, you're exactly right. You're looking at a lot of the things that we're looking at here in DC, which is there's not much time. And every single time with the presidential election, there's these major events, and in this year especially, massive major events that have really altered both the political calculus, but also just politics in the United States as a whole. So the question that happens a lot of time in this calendar is very standard for an election year. They always have October and August off for campaigning, which they obviously want to keep their jobs, and so they want to be back in their districts here. So for right now, what we're looking down the barrel of is Senate Agriculture. They're picking up the market structure effort from the House, the FIT 21 bill. Now they're leading a different version, looks like, but they don't have much time to move that bill forward, as you can see from the calendar here. We can see potentially a vote in that committee at the end of July, but even after then, it's like September. Maybe have to have a floor vote, and then we're looking at lame duck. And again, that political calculation, we have no idea. It all depends on what happens in November. So it's a very short time. We've been here before, 2 years ago, stable coins, and we're trying to avoid that again.
Right. Well, I think the key here is, as we start to align, is I think many people might look at this and say, well, okay, this is going to just end up in a 2025 calendar year, and this is going to be post-election as things roll out. But I'm kind of curious because, this isn't a slam dunk for sure. And I know Elon Musk, I don't know if this is confirmed, but estimates now saying that about $45 million a month to pro-Trump election group, which is called the America PAC. And this was kind of confirmed right here that Trump has pulled in about 331 million, 3 million of that coming in from crypto. Here's my question. With this much money in the pipe, how does this translate down ballot? Because that to me is really the big question, especially in 2025, is how do we control the House and the Senate? We'll say we, crypto and blockchain as a lobbying effort, how do we stack up in the House, and does this make a difference?
It makes a huge difference. I used to run campaigns in Texas in the state Senate, and I know that campaign money is the lifeline that you need to run a successful campaign. It's not mandatory by any means, but crypto has really stepped up to the plate here from a lot of execs giving, up to your point, a lot of money here. And also the Fair Shake PAC is one of the largest PACs in DC. And so they've carried a lot of weight, and they've also have a winning track record. I think it's 33-2 right now in Congress, and it's both Republicans and Democrats in primaries. Right. So it's been a really awesome thing to see. But at least when it comes to at least the dollars being involved in the campaign side here, the one thing I've noticed, especially from the White House recently, but also a lot of Democrats and those in Congress, is there's a voting block here. And actually that voting block is significant poll after poll after poll that they could actually influence this election, even if it's minor in some way here and there. That could be the deciding factor for states like Ohio or states like Virginia now, potentially, Pennsylvania. So that these are major events to be watching, but also crypto is a major voter base. And a lot of folks, myself included, were kind of shocked by the sheer numbers of it, but it does seem at least to be playing pretty well. And DC's woken up, I will say that.
I was looking at our own crypto political tracker. Trump continues to climb, actually took a nice jump right here over the last week. Biden has really fallen off. He was stabilizing a little bit here compared to RFK, but has really fallen off here a little bit. I want to jump to an interview that was done by Lester Holt. We have a clip from it. I know we're not, listen guys, I promise you, this is not elder abuse. I just want to make sure we have a framework of what we're dealing with here in terms of our presidency. Let's go to that clip real quick.
Your allies, James Clyburn, Nancy Pelosi, have kind of put it out there that they're waiting for your decision, giving you time to make your decision. What I hear from you is that you made your decision. Are you still comfortable in that decision? Has anything changed in the last several days?
No.
What happens if you have another episode like we saw during the debate?
What happens if another?
Yeah, what happens if you have another performance on that on that level?
I don't plan on having another performance on that level.
All right. Mr. President, it's always good to talk to you.
Man, this just keeps happening. What is the likelihood of Biden actually being the nominee? Here's the election forecast currently. Right now, this is just on the forecast for the presidency. Obviously, Trump is pretty much a landslide. But if you look at kind of the alignment here, even if you did a swap, this is looking at Polymarket, which I don't know if you've been tracking this. Polymarket is looking at, it's very intriguing. I mean, it's a lot like the old Nate Silver polls, 10 years ago, but it seems to be the hot poll of the day. But Kamala, of course, looks like she could actually be in a better position here. Is there any indication that this might change before November, or at least before the DNC?
At least right now, in the conversations I'm having with a lot of Democrats here in DC, it does not seem to be changing anytime soon. And again, I know there's been a lot of stories about Kamala, rising the polls here, or at least polling better potentially than Joe Biden. But at the end of the day, President Biden, it's his call. Folks in Congress can complain or ask him to step down, but it is his call at the end of the day. And I think after the events that happened over the weekend, there is this looming feeling from some folks here in DC on the Democrat side that they're probably going to lose the White House. Senate was already likely going to be really tough for them to maintain anyway. But the House now could be in jeopardy, where Democrats are feeling a little more confident about the House. And now it seems like it could be a clean sweep on the Republican side. But I want to preface, though, we have 4 months. So we have a long time in this election. And in this just short amount of time, look at what's happened. So we'll see.
It's a big one. If you look at Polymarket, here's the Senate, 80% right now. Looks like it's going to be a landslide over there as well for that. But to your point, on the House side, could really play into this. I mean, this really plays into a very positive narrative for at least the next 4 years. If this does happen come November, if we get a sweep on both the House and the Senate and the presidency, we haven't seen that before in a very long time. So would this really give us the chance to get a lot of legislation through, or do you feel like there'd be enough resistance from the counterparties out there that would still slow it down?
That's the thing. When I'm talking to a lot of folks in the industry, they're saying, we're all on the Trump train, or we're all on the Democrat side here, and it's very binary choices sometimes. But what I'm telling them is, hey, look, even if it's a clean sweep on the Republican side, you're going to have to deal with Democrat senators. There are 60 vote thresholds several times that you're going to have to cross, and you're going to need to be across the aisle for that. So I think crypto's done a really good job of having bipartisan wins here on the campaign side and building bipartisan base. And again, we saw Ro Khanna leading that roundtable last week at the next to the White House. And then again, it's an effort to show, hey, the Democrats have been kind of giving up this issue. The Republicans see this as a new policy ground here. They can really differentiate themselves from the Democrats here and potentially capture a lot of the youth vote. And it seems to be working really well in their favor. And that's where, we're seeing it now in the Republican Party platform, which is incredible to see because, self-custody, for example, was in there for the Republican Party. And it was back in 2019, President Trump was trying to really go screw over self-custody. The Treasury for that midnight rulemaking. So it's funny to see how the Republican Party, but also Trump, have really changed their opinion over time. And the last thing I want to say is the Polymarket. I think from a lot of sources I'm hearing on the Trump side, that really got him into the crypto idea, was the Polymarket polls. And actually here in Capitol Hill, I've had a lot of conversations in the past week just about Polymarket. A lot of folks are excited. It's kind of bringing this whole predicted style again with a little crypto flair with politics. And so it's a very interesting thing to see. But we'll be seeing how the effects are in Congress. But we really do need that bipartisan support, and we do intend to keep that for quite some time.
A couple of points here I want to hit on. You kind of mentioned there. Well, first, I want to go back to your topic about the crypto roundtable. Do you feel like that was more of a waste of time because there was no real ranking member there outside of Ro Khanna, and definitely nobody from the administration? I get that the administrative staff was there, but obviously not the vice president, not the president there on this crypto roundtable. Was it a waste of time?
So I talked about a half a dozen folks who were there, both on the staff side as well as those participants, including our CEO was the Blockchain Association. Krista Smith was there. Mark Cuban was there. I talked to folks at Kraken, Coinbase, Block, Gemini. They all said very, very positive things about the whole situation. Sorry, not Gemini, Galaxy. Again, it's there's a lot of this whole idea that it was a BS meeting, and I don't think it was. Everyone did say, look, we restricted them, and really stern saying this has been a problem for quite some time. The SEC is obviously not here, but they are a major problem for us, and the White House has been letting this happen. And again, I want to stress this was the craziest week for President Biden last week, and of course before the assassination attempt. And they said a top 5 policy staffer. And again, view Joe Biden as who you will, but the staff do have a lot of power, and it's important that they send a top 5 person to be at this event. So again, I didn't think it was a big thing, and everyone I've been talking to who was there says it was all positive. But again, maybe it's a little too late. So we'll see what happens. If there's any effect here on the policy side. But
it doesn't look like from at least the Polymarket side what we've done on our own crypto tracker in terms of, and these are crypto voters that are looking at leaning in, and Trump is clearly a landslide winner right now. And going back to the other topic that you meant or that you talked about, and that is winning over some of these senators. Obviously, we saw Senator Fetterman. He kind of seems to have shifted sides here a little bit with some of his comments. How many more are like that, maybe set to turn with more education? Because I think that's what happened in the Trump camp and with a lot of Republicans is they were just getting educated. It wasn't that they didn't like it; it was just they didn't know. So what about now? Are we close to turning some senators maybe to where we could really coil up for 2025?
Definitely. And I think Senator Fetterman, that clip is actually really important because it does show, during a line of questioning he had regarding Hamas financing with potentially crypto, the witness actually pushed back on that. And we've seen that now, culminating to that interview where he says, hey, look, I've had a pre-assumption that it was crypto. I was told from my colleagues it was crypto. And guess what? It wasn't. And I have learned from that. And I'm now publicly saying that. And that's the kind of changing of minds that we need here in DC. We just can't be, throwing darts at everyone here. We got to say, hey, look, come to the fold here. The crypto army is growing like crazy. The anti-crypto army, whatever is left of it, is shrinking by the moment. And so I think, just having that momentum, the momentum has been incredible here in DC the past 4 months. And I think we just need to keep building on that, but understanding that, hey, we can't be, accusatory to a lot of folks who maybe just have no idea about the industry or just not educated well enough, because as we've seen, education works, and we've seen people on the record flipping their position.
Yeah, for sure. I want to get into another scenario that's happening out there. It's not that we don't have enough political news, and that, of course, is with RFK. A couple of scenarios has happened. He, of course, whether this was a leak or incompetence, I don't know which side. I would feel better if it was a leak. This was in reference to Trump calling him and saying, hey, just, give up, come over to our side. We're going to put you in the administration. That's pretty typical of administrations to go into candidates like this and say, hey, maybe it's time for you to throw in the towel, isn't it?
Of sorts, usually, at least for the third-party candidates in the past, it's been more of, hey, you're going to take votes away from me, and I need you to, fall in line here so I can shore up and win the election. It seemed more, there's an olive branch approach here. And again, I think Trump has been really changing a lot of his tactics, and it seems to be playing well for him, at least on the campaign side, where he's being a lot more open to folks from a variety of backgrounds to be more in the fold with him. So we'll see how that translates to November, but at least right now, there seems to be a lot more olive branch outreach. And of course, there's campaigns and there's a lot of stakes involved, so I would not be shocked.
Yeah, I think that's the key. And of course, if you look at RFK's statement, it said, hey, when he called me, I was taping an in-house videographer. I mean, he's kind of like, I'm mortified. So he's apologizing to the president, all that. So maybe it was just a sheer mistake. Okay, I'm hoping that was kind of the scenario. But hey, it's politics. I don't put anything past it. You never know the calculated measures. Yeah, you never know the calculated measures that are taking place. Here's another thing, man. We've got MiCA absolutely tearing it up. Staking 101. MiCA now, they're outright prohibit staking activities, so there's no special license that are needed if you're staking your own crypto assets. That's new. Staking as a service, also new. Custody for services under MiCA. And then they've got client consent in here, which if you've got a staking service, you get client consent, which is always done. Point being is there's a lot of standards being set in place now that MiCA is in force, and we're starting to see real movement here. And when you look at that, and this next clip I'm going to show you a clip here that gets into a couple of points here. This, of course, is Vlad Tenev, who is the CEO of Robinhood. He says, let's start with crypto. Our European customers can now earn staking rewards on their SOL holdings, flexibility, unstake at any time. This is live in Europe today. And you go to this clip, and I want your opinion on this, because I'm hoping some of the staffers, in Capitol Hill are watching this, because they're going to be hopefully going back to their senators and their reps and letting people know what's happening. This is an interview with Vlad that breaks down how different the current climate is. Take a look.
But I think what we have the benefit of seeing, because we sort of have both of these businesses, right? And we can see them side by side, and we now can look at crypto in the EU, brokerage in the UK as well, is the cost of running a crypto business is an order of magnitude lower, because you get to leverage so much of the public infrastructure, and these public blockchains do a lot of the heavy lifting when it comes to settlement and transactions. And you can, to some degree, see this with dollar stablecoins overseas. You don't have to squint too hard to imagine a world where stocks are on blockchains and are tokenized. There's a view of crypto as a technology layer that's going to be really accelerated once people understand that there's just a huge efficiency advantage. I think that'll become increasingly clear, and Robinhood can be a leader there.
So, I mean, he just put it out there. This is a publicly traded company in the United States that simply says it's easier to do business in the EU and more profitable. And by the way, the entire stock market is getting ready to shift to this. So you're talking about the very financial system that pretty much makes the United States the most powerful country in the world that is now being at risk in the EU. And all of this is happening in front of us right now, Ron. Surely this has got to stop.
Yeah, actually, it's not even just the industry saying that, hey, the EU is taking the lead here. We had the CFTC chair back in March at the House Ag Committee. He admitted that, saying that, look, I'm seeing firms leave the United States, and that's bad for jobs, bad for consumer protection. It's not good to have these businesses who started here for the most part move overseas, and he is seeing that at the agency level. And that really just show, again, it comes down to one agency for the most part. We have issues sometimes with here and there, but it's the SEC and, the slew of enforcement actions that are still ongoing. They dropped the Ethereum one, but we're still seeing consensus get hit. And it's crazy to think that every, top company in this space for the most part in the United States has some form of legal action from the SEC in one form or another. And the amount of court cases is pretty staggering. And so this can't keep going on. And look, of course, folks like myself as a lobbyist, we're hired because these companies are having a hard time finding clear rules of the road. And folks like me shouldn't be existing. We should be clear rules of the road, so you don't have to hire lobbyists or lawyers to go fight yourself or the SEC in court or to defend yourself. It's crazy the amount of business cost it does. And unfortunately, a lot of folks in DC are waking up. It's just the SEC chair for the majority. There are other folks out there too, but they don't see that way, and they see that there are being consumers harmed here, and they really need to step in and take as much authority as possible. And that's a huge detriment to the United States.
Well, last point here, because now it's, it feels like a dog pile now, from what's happening globally, and that is Japan has now jumped into the mix here. Busiest crypto summer in Japan yet. So they've got their blockchain summit in Tokyo that just happened or getting ready to happen. Their EdCon for Ethereum, Solana Super Tokyo, and then they're rolling down into the WebEx 2024, which is going to have, look at the lineup here. So the Japanese have clearly kind of put it into a position of, hey, we are ready for blockchain, business is open, and we're getting ready to align our business practices with that of what's happening in blockchain right now, and we think we can be a player, in the world community. This is a big opportunity. It definitely has, I think, leveled the playing field. When we kind of controlled Silicon Valley in the 80s and 90s and became the powerhouse in technology, I think that was the birth of really American capitalism and individualism, of the growth that we've seen. We're at risk of losing this now.
100%. And Japan's really frustrating for me personally, because I do remember we actually had a couple, I forgot if it's parliament they call it there, but we had a couple members of their parliament come to DC actually, and they met with us when I was working on Capitol Hill with Representative Davidson. and they were talking about the crypto bill that we were working on. They were really excited, and we went back and forth with the translator with them. It was a really cool meeting. But they actually took a lot of those principles from that meeting allegedly, and they moved forward to go pass at least a framework back. Was it a couple of years back? And Japan has done almost a 180 completely on crypto in the past couple of years, and that has been really, it stinks to see, because at least for here, it's like, hey, this has been an 8-year battle for me personally, but for others in the industry, 12 plus years, and we still, we moved the needle a little bit this year, at least on the policy side. Again, with the ETFs and such, we still have a long way to go.
This is the election that's going to make or break the United States. So voting is the number one thing you guys can do out there. And of course, you're not supporting the Blockchain Association. Make sure and jump into that as well. If you're a business out there that's doing anything in the crypto space, you guys got to check out what Ron and his team are doing. So Ron, thank you so much for coming in on the show today. We appreciate it.
Anytime, Paul. Really appreciate it. And buckle up. It's going to get busy soon.
It's going to get busy. I like it. We'll definitely have you back on, because I think things are getting ready to shift pretty quickly. We'll see how that plays into the thing. I know you have your policy summit coming up in December. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah, we have a policy summit in December. I'll be at Bitcoin Nashville next week. And yeah, we'll see what happens with the Trump campaign and everything going on. But all conversations I've been having on my side personally with them, it's been going really positive. And
that's good.
JD Vance, VP candidate, I've chatted with him multiple times, and he has been rock solid on this issue. So that gives you a lot of optimism. We have a long way to go.
Yeah, very much so. Thanks again for stopping in. We appreciate it.
Anytime. Thanks, Paul.
You bet. All right, you guys are tuned in, maybe on the podcast side of things, jump over here to the YouTube channel, get the full experience, and also become part of the Diamond Circle. That's our own private member group right now, growing like crazy. Jump in, because you get additional content. We do additional drops in terms of information, education, and also just my insights of what's happening in the market. We do over in the Diamond Circle. If you're not following me out there on X, do that. It's @PaulBaron. Catch you next time right here on TechPath.